Lee Jones here from Hotspawn, and I'm joined by Upset from Fnatic, just for a quick chat. Just to start with, this interview is being facilitated as part of Fnatic's new partnership with Red Bull. And one thing I wanted to ask, got kind of on the theme of that, is around the Red Bull League of its own. That event that they do, or they've done the last couple of years, towards the end of the season. And I know Fnatic hasn't, I don't think has been involved in any of those so far, but just kind of the prospect of having more, more like third party events and extra things outside the calendar, is that something that you kind of welcome and would like to have, like more arena events and stuff?
Yeah, I think it's amazing. I think it's really a great opportunity for the players to get to experience this environment. Last year, when I was in KC, who's also sponsored with Red Bull, they also did these events, and it was really, really, just an amazing experience to be in a big arena and play for the fans. So I think it's great that they make these events happen, and I'm really looking forward to participating in them as a Fnatic player as well.
Nice. And I know there's also the LEC Road Show that I think you guys will be at in Madrid in a couple of weeks as well.
Mhm.
Again, is it just nice to like even like get out of the studio a bit and have these things in other stadiums, kind of add a bit of extra weight to the games?
Yeah, I mean, as a player, it's like a little bit double-edged sword, I guess, because obviously you have to travel, you lose time to practice. It's more risk of getting sick when you travel, I feel like, and it's a a new environment. So it's definitely more stress overall, I think, on you. But at the same time, getting to play in front of the people that watch you and support you is always an amazing feeling. So that's a huge upside, and I think it just makes the games more exciting too when you can see that there's so much energy behind them and there's so many people watching and cheering for either side. And yeah, for the fans, I think it's also what they definitely deserve, the opportunity to get to these events and meet together and have that experience. So I think it's a great addition overall. Yeah.
Sure. And just to kind of chat a bit about the direction you guys are in at the moment. I know winter, like especially regular season, you guys were flying. I imagine you wouldn't have been too pleased to have finished third in the end, but then it also doesn't feel like, I mean, you guys went 5 games with KC and then they 3-0 G2 right after that. So it kind of feels like you guys are right on the edge of getting a championship, which obviously, for Fnatic as well, it's been a while since they've done that. What do you think is maybe like that kind of thing that you guys needed, or changes coming into spring to take you just that, make that kind of 5% extra difference that could get there?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest advantage for us is that we added Duffman to our coaching staff. I think he's been very, very helpful working with the team, improving our macro, because I think as individuals we are very strong, but the way we tend to take risks in games and play the map is not a very consistent way of playing. And I think it led to us, even if you take the KC example, which was very close in that series, we managed to throw the game with a really big early game lead after killing them 2v2 with the Kalista. So these kind of things we have to iron out if we want to really be the best team in the region and represent Europe well internationally. So I think that has been really good overall time as well, just more time together with the bot and top side, obviously gelling as a team and getting more on the same page. That has also been very helpful for us. So I see a lot of good things right now happening in the team. I'm very happy with the direction we're going in. So yeah, for sure.
I wanted to ask as well about playing with Mickey specifically this year, and in particular about kind of even going back to when you were on Fnatic last time, you were playing with Hillisang. I think it's only you and Reckless that have played with both, both of like the GOAT EU support. So how do you see it, the kind of differences of having played with both of them? Almost maybe similar as well.
I would say Hilly has a little bit of a stronger personality in terms of like really wanting to do things in his way, kind of, but also both of them are really, really sweet people, like really nice and just friendly overall, like very good to work with. And also outside of the game, like I get along great with both, I think. So in that sense, they're similar. Obviously, their playmaking and risk taking is also when they're both like playing at their best is on another level. So in that way, they're also really similar. I think champion pool wise, Mickey tends to be a little bit more creative. Obviously, Hilly had his pocket picks with the Pike and maybe the Zillion sometimes, and they're both like very good on like Rakan. But I think Mickey plays a little bit more champions for sure, or he's also just trying to do that more. While Hilly, I think, had a little bit more of a mastery mindset on a few champs to like a very extreme level. So I think these are like some of the differences in lane. Obviously, they're both really a pleasure to play with for me. I think both of them are very detail oriented, and we focus a lot on improving on that. So for me, that's just great when you have somebody you can rely on fully when you play your laning phase.
Mm-hmm. And when it was kind of first revealed, or even just first rumored that you guys would be playing together, I think there was a pretty big expectation for you guys to be, the best bot lane in the LEC. Do you think you guys are? You think you're the strongest?
Yeah, I think we're the strongest bot lane. I think even if you watch the series against KC or even the one against G2, the games, we were doing pretty well on bot, I think. Got 2v2 kills against most of the league, I would say. I think we're doing very well, but obviously that's not really what's the most important thing in the end. The most important thing is to be the best team, not just the best individual players on some roles. So it's not like we also like have a huge gap between us and other people. I think other bot lanes can also perform really well on the given day. So we definitely have to keep working hard on making sure that we are actually the best bot lane, but then at the same time also connecting with our team and making it that the whole team is just playing the best.
Mm-hmm. And I wanted to ask as well, specifically about rejoining Fnatic. I think I'm right in saying that it's like the first time you've gone back to a team or an org that you've been at previously. And I was watching you on the sack down, I think it was from last year, kind of talking about, I think one of them had mentioned that a lot of people leave Fnatic kind of on dramatic terms, but you were saying how you kind of felt like amicable with those that were in the team. And so how have you found it kind of going back to a team like that then, and kind of seeing familiar faces and being kind of welcomed back by the fan base as well?
I mean, the fan reception has been amazing, I think. I see mostly very positive support for me. I really appreciate it. I didn't have any bad blood with any of the players at the time. I think overall it was just a pretty difficult part in my life, like on a personal level. So I think it was not as easy for me to find like a really good solution for the way Fnatic was doing things back then. I see a lot of changes, honestly, in the way they approach practice, and also like just in general, the support has been really great here. And obviously, I never had any problems with Razoront or Humanoid, and I think they have grown in the time since I was gone. So that has been really great to see, and to reconnect with them. It feels like very familiar for me, and also it's the same office, the same space. Like I'm very happy to be back and be in the same, like in a very familiar environment, let's say. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm really happy how things worked out, and hopefully I will be in Fnatic until the end of my career.
Nice. I wanted to ask too about the kind of state of the LEC this year, 'cause especially last season, like there were talk basically the whole year of the general level being really low, and it was kind of only G2 was the standout team. But obviously this year, especially at the top, like you've got yourselves and KC, fighting with G2, and do you think like the level in general has gone up a bit this year?
Yeah, I would say the level has gone up. I think last year it would have been very interesting to see if we had the KC roster with Vladi and Kana from an earlier point. I would have really loved to see how we could have developed back then as well, because obviously we just had like one kind of short split where we like barely missed out on top 3, and it was like only 6 weeks, let's say. So I think that new development for KC to bring in Kalist and Yike and still having Kana and Vladi and Taga, having more time to develop, I think has been really nice to see that there's a new, really strong team. I think obviously Fnatic with me and Mickey are also a very strong team, and G2 is still doing their thing. Koi has upgraded their roster. And then there's a lot of other teams that have been also making interesting roster moves. But I think just the top 4 alone has been showing like a pretty good level overall. And yeah, it would be great to see if other teams like, let's say, BDS or Vitality find their groove right, and also manage to improve, or like a Giants who's not doing so well right now. Hopefully they can also find their ways, and the league could get very interesting, I think.
Sure. One other thing I wanted to ask you as well, you mentioned about Razoront Humanoid there, and I've got to ask is, there's always this thing that people have said for years, and it's like a long narrative that's kind of attached itself to them and hasn't really let go about this thing of that they can't. Not they can't play together, like their synergy isn't as good as it should be. But you've kind of you played with them years ago, and then you've kind of rejoined now that they've been playing together, even more years during that time. So how do you see that kind of narrative, and just what was your thoughts on their partnership?
I mean, I think if it wouldn't have brought the problem is just I think that they didn't win the league together basically because everything else they have done to like a pretty decent way, like at least the second best in Europe, right? Obviously, the fans and they also want to be the champion in the end and do a little bit better internationally as well, of course. But they have been not an unsuccessful pairing in any stretch of the imagination. It is just not the best result yet, but they obviously were second many times and they managed to qualify to maybe even every international tournament. I'm not sure. They missed out on one, I guess. So I would say they have like a decent synergy. I'm not even sure exactly what is meant by synergy exactly when it comes to the mid jungle. I guess overall they have improved together, I would say, since the time I was gone. I think they work better together. I think they're more on the same page. Obviously, League is such a complex game and there's so many different things you can improve on. So nothing is perfect yet and it probably never will be, but I'm pretty happy having them as my mid jungle. I can't complain in any way.
Well, then you win a title with them and help end that then.
Yeah, I think if they, instead of being second, they would have been first a couple of times, they would be seen very differently. But that's obviously the nature of competition. And that's also, in the end, up to them if they can get over there or not. And that's how they're going to be seen, right?
Yeah.
Same for me.
Fair enough. Well, I think we can leave it there then, Upset. Thanks very much for your time. And best of luck in the rest of the split.